Privacy screen protectors are a thing of the past with Samsung's new privacy screen. I am so excited to see privacy front and center at a tech announcement. So let's talk about it because I'm sure you have questions and I have answers. Hey s'mores, I'm Shannon Morse, and today we are talking a cybersecurity and a privacy-focused first look at Samsung's newest phone, because for the first time ever, Samsung built privacy protection directly into the screen hardware. And honestly, this is one of the most interesting mobile privacy features that I have seen in years. It kind of feels, it feels exciting. It feels well thought out, very innovative. Samsung is calling it Privacy Display, and it's the first built-in privacy display ever on a smartphone. So if you've ever used one of those stick-on privacy like film screen protectors, you know exactly what this problem solves. Those third-party screen protectors, they work using microscopic vertical blinds embedded into the film, and the blinds limit light from spreading sideways. For real though, they kind of suck. That's why I never use them. I just don't like them. But that's the only option we really have ever had in the event that you're like on a plane and you got some creepy dude sitting next to you looking at your text messages, or you're in a coffee shop typing in your credit card number and trying to buy something online on your smartphone, or you're entering passwords for something while you're sitting at an airport. Sometimes you're just kind of stuck putting personal information onto your display while you're in these public settings and you can't really get out of it. We know it's not smart to get on open Wi-Fi, but people in your physical bubble can still see what you're doing and typing on the phone. The actual terminology is called shoulder surfing, and it's one of the oldest and easiest forms of data theft. Attackers can just shoulder surf to steal passwords or PINs or two-factor authentication codes, which is one of the reasons why I recommend using a YubiKey, but Samsung's solution kind of tackles this directly at the hardware level. We're about to get real nerdy here, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see this new privacy screen fully tested in a bunch of different environments, because I'm going to be putting it through all of its paces. Also, a big Patreon shout out to my patron s'mores. You can join them and support my channel by going over to patreon.com/Shannon Morse for perks like early video access and my private Discord. And as usual, all the videos on my channel are completely free to watch, and I thank my s'mores, my patrons, and my YouTube members for making that possible. Okay, so instead of using a physical film, this display itself is going to control how light is dispersed from each and every pixel. That allows the phone to dynamically limit viewing angles whenever privacy mode is enabled. So here's what that means technically, in a technical sense. Each and every pixel emits light. That's just how pixels in displays work. Normally, that light spreads outward in multiple different directions. Samsung's display technology can restrict that spread, so the light goes primarily forward and not sideways. So when privacy display is enabled, you see everything normally, but people viewing from the sides see this darkened or kind of obscured screen, which is really unique and pretty freaking cool. See, traditional privacy screen protectors, they come with pretty serious downsides, like they reduce brightness, they can reduce clarity, they can make stuff look on your display look kind of blurry, they distort colors, and they're always on, so you can't really take it off without destroying that film protector. But Samsung's version fixes those problems. So when privacy display is off, the screen looks completely normal, almost full brightness. It's a little bit dimmer, but almost full brightness and quality, so you don't lose any sharpness. When it's on, it selectively limits viewing angles to protect your content. So it's more dynamic. It's not going to be a permanent setting, and you have full control over customizing it, which makes it way more practical if you want to use this on a day-to-day setting. So you might be wondering, how is this practical if it's always on in the hardware? But it's actually not. It's really useful because you can configure privacy display to activate automatically during sensitive actions. For example, you can make it just turn on when you're entering your phone's PIN or passcode, or when you're unlocking your phone, or when you open a very specific application. It works pretty seamlessly. I actually didn't notice any kind of delay when opening the app, so it didn't cause any issues there. You can also set it up just for your password manager, your two-factor authentication app, your bank, your email, your messages. It's a pretty brilliant way to make sure it's a consumer-friendly, privacy-conscious feature. Samsung also added different privacy modes. So there's a partial privacy mode to protect things like notifications. Maximum privacy heavily limits the side viewing visibility. You can also adjust these to fit your own personal situations too. So for example, you could enable maximum privacy when you're on a plane, but normal mode when you're at home. And you can also allow it to enable only at specific locations. You can also choose to set your side key double click to turn on or off the privacy display. And you can also set routines to manage it. Now, if you're thinking like, oh, shoulder surfing, it actually doesn't ever happen. Well, it certainly happens to people that go to like cybersecurity conferences like DEF CON. It can happen to people with security clearances. It can happen to people who are in abusive partnerships or abusive relationships, or people who work at banks or very high secure jobs. I could go on. There's a lot of reasons why people do use privacy displays, and yes, shoulder surfing is actually 100% a thing. So does privacy display actually matter? I absolutely think so. I think it solves a very, very specific problem of shoulder surfing, and it gives consumers more control over their privacy. At the end of the day, it's going to be valuable for people like journalists or content creators like me who have access to NDAs and embargoed information about new tech, or executives or government employees, or even travelers who don't want people to see like what hotel they're going to be checking into, or people working remotely. My concerns are it's only available on the S26 Ultra, and it is a hardware level feature, so it's not going to be available for other devices because it's not going to be a firmware update for anything. It currently won't work for specific portions of your screen while you're in an application, or when you're typing in a password, for example. You would instead have to enable it for that whole app or the whole screen, type in your password, and then you could just disable it. Now, it does dim the phone by a very minor percentage, and you can see that in some of my recordings, and that is because essentially it's turning off certain pixels, so it is going to dim it just a little bit, which could be a perk if you like to use your phone in really dark environments and you don't want to like wake up your spouse, because that can make your phone just a few nits darker. I'm also curious how this is going to affect battery life, because will the battery life increase with it on since there are less pixels used? Who knows? So I really want to test that. Privacy display does not protect against malware, spyware, phishing. It's also not going to protect against like account compromises or remote hacking. It only protects visual privacy. It's going to prevent people from doing the shoulder surfing. But it is one layer of security in that holistic approach to security that I'm always talking about. So my early reviewer questions are going to be how well it actually works, whether it impacts your battery life, display quality, and whether it's really easy to use day to day. Privacy honestly needs to be really seamless in order to get consumers to use it. And people are not going to enable a privacy feature unless it's super, super easy. Now, you probably have questions. I'm sure you do, so leave them down below. And if you want to see my full review, the hands-on testing, the security tests, a privacy deep dive, make sure you are subscribed, because this is the place to be for all of that content. I'm going to be putting this phone through the paces. I'm very excited about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all. Look at my view. Woo, it's so pretty.